Hello, I am Sherry Truler with Red Apple Auctions, and although I work a lot of auctions around the country that involve a live auction, I know that many people do auctions that only involve a silent auction. So I want to give you a tip on how you can improve your checkout for your silent auction, and I'm calling this presentation Use Signage to Tell Silent Auction Winners They Won. Trust me, this will make your checkout a much better place to be, allowing you some time to really crunch the numbers so that everyone appreciates a smooth checkout process. Now, communicating with signage does solve some problems. It answers that age-old auction question, how will I know if I won anything in the silent auction? It's very easy to use and create, and it takes on many forms. It could be reusable, it can be made with one-time only materials, excuse me, it can even be digital, and we'll see some photos of all of those moving forward. Here's an example of some permanent signage. This was made out of whiteboard, and the numbers were permanently printed onto that whiteboard. So anyone who won an item in the silent auction, their bid number was circled, and then this was posted near the checkout area so that guests, as they approached the checkout area, could see whether or not they needed to pick something up. So as you look at this, you can see that the items numbered 1 over here on the left all the way to 400. So that accommodates what, up about to 800 guests, assuming that most people come as a pair and a couple. And as long as you are within that range of guests, you're fine. Otherwise, you might have to make another sign if your event grows. But all they do is circle the bid numbers if that person won something in the silent. Maybe they won 9 items. Maybe they won 1 item. Doesn't really matter. That person just knows they need to go pick something up in the silent auction. They can wipe that down and use it again the next year. Now, if that's not in your budget to make permanent signage this year, you might consider one-time use signage. Photo's a little blurry, but you can make it out. It says you are a winner on the top. It's foam core, and the volunteers just wrote on the foam core who won. So you can see 7 won, 13 won, 16 won. If my bid number is number 70, I can look on this sign because it's in numerical order and say, oh, yep, I won something. I wonder what it was. And I can go stand in the line. Easy to use, easy to make, and you can throw it away at the end of the night. Now, tips. Let's make sure that you're only using the bid number. You do not need to list a guest's name. This is just creating more work for you, and because the guest is identified by bid number, use the bid number. Now, the only way this would not be correct is if you are not using bid numbers, and that's a conversation we need to have on another day. You do not need to list the name of the item that was won. For instance, if you have the basket of Italian confections, you do not need to list that. Once again, the guest doesn't need to know what they won, they just need to know that they need to stand in line. And finally, you don't need to list the item numbers or the package numbers, depending on what you call it. So for instance, if that package of Italian confections was listed as item number 64 or package number 64, you do not need to list that on the bid board. Just to look at the photo here up close, you can see that they did not follow the directions here, right? They have leisure adventures, and then they list the package number. They've pre-printed the item, name of the package there. Then they're putting down the person's name and their bid number. Talk about a lot of extra work for nothing. They could have done the same thing if they just would have written all the bid numbers on one sheet of paper. Not as many easels, not as much paper, easy, easy. Could have been better. So where do you want to put this signage? You want to put it in an area that's easily seen by guests. Usually this is in front of the checkout area. Sometimes it is right as the guests exit the ballroom doors. You can also use volunteers to promote it. So just as when you go to check in at an airline terminal, and they have the digital terminals now where you can serve yourself to check in for your flight, but there's usually someone there, if the airline is on top of it, who's saying, oh, here's an open kiosk, please go over there. Oh, sir, here's an open kiosk, please go over there. Well, just as people are, employees are used to facilitate the check-in process at the airline, I just encourage you to use volunteers to facilitate the checkout process by making sure that you've got a volunteer there who says, oh, please check to see whether or not you won anything in the silent auction. Look at the sign over here. Please check to see. Just like that. Very easy. You'll want to put the signage on an easel as well to make sure that it is at eye level. So here's an example. You can see that this signage was posted This was posted right outside the ballroom doors on the way to checkout. I can see from the bid boards here that they did not follow my instructions as far as only listing the bid number, but at any rate, they placed it in the right location. Another option here, if you're using visual equipment in your ballroom, let's make some use of it. Heavens knows you're paying enough for that AV. So here you can have a PowerPoint screen typed up and just put the bid numbers into the PowerPoint screen, throw it on a zip drive, and have the guy who's running your PowerPoint presentation pop that screen up so that guests can see whether or not they won. At this particular event, I think they had 3 or 4 screens of numbers. You could just as easily put that all on one screen as well and make it easier for yourself. You just want to make sure that the numbers, when they're up on that screen, are easy enough for people to see. Maybe that's why they had several screens, as they needed a bigger size number. Now, if you are holding an auction and you're looking for great ideas, I want to invite you to my session in Louisville. I'm going to be leading 2 45-minute breakouts on auction-related matters. That's on Monday, November the 14th from 3:30 to 5. And I think it's called Gala Bells and Whistles. But just look for anything with my name and auctions after it, and you'll be in the right spot. I also volunteered to lead a dine-around, so hopefully that will come through. That will be on Monday, November the 14th at 7:30 p.m. Look for information on that, and I'd love to meet you there in person. And then finally, if you're looking for free help right now, head on over to redappleauctions.com and get my free gift. It's the auction item guide, What Sold Like a Gem in 2010. It's the top 100 items I sold for over value in my auctions last year. Doesn't matter if you're doing a silent or a live auction, there's great ideas in there that's going to help your acquisitions committee get started. Again, I'm Sherry with Red Apple Auctions. Thank you for watching. I look forward to meeting you in Louisville at the National Arts Marketing Conference.